Well, hi, everybody, and welcome to the panel of all knowledge. I look around and get smiles from everybody. Jason's on assignment, so he's not here today, and you know we're going to be kind of on our own, going around the table this afternoon, and we hope you all stick with us. You're certainly welcome to make a phone call into the panel of all knowledge, and I always tell everybody this panel has made predictions over the time we've been on this show, doing this show, and so far we're 100%. We've been 100%.
Incorrect.
Yeah,
us,
every prediction
us
we've
and
ever
Joe,
made has been wrong.
us and Joe Biden.
We're
great
batting
record
zeros.
great record of being wrong.
So we got some discussions that I think we can have today and have a little fun. But we'd love for you to give us a call if you've got something on your mind. We've been talking about the general plan, the city general plan a little bit, and stuff like that. But if there's something you want to talk about, give us a call. It's area code 928-541-1016. We'll be happy to take your call and listen to what you might have to say. You know, Memorial Day was yesterday, and the thing that struck me was Omar, the representative.
Ilhan Omar.
Yeah, you probably can express this better than me. She put out a text or an email.
Or
that said,
tweet or
whatever it was,
an X.
that said that she wanted the people on Memorial Day that we were talking about on Memorial Day to be sure they sign up for their benefits and they get all the necessary, something like that. And I just incensed me when I heard that.
Well, it's not Veterans Day. It's
Memorial
Day.
She is in Congress and doesn't know
The difference.
that we're honoring the people who gave the full measure, and I don't know how. Is that a weakness of democracy? How do people like that get
No,
elected?
that's the weakness of the mind.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
Well, how do you convince people in your, in your district to vote for you when you don't even know what Memorial Day is and you're in Congress? And she's been elected 3 times.
Yeah. Talib in Michigan, same thing.
Well, she's yes. But
She was on
This
with-
is just, and then of course, one of her aides or somebody goes, "Oh, take that down, take that down."
Well,
so they pretend like it didn't happen. That
happened.
just is even worse. Makes it
It's
even
just
worse.
like any kind of presidential address by Sleepy Joe, and they get 10 corrections released almost immediately. Well, this is what he said, but this is what he meant.
Yeah.
This is what he said. This is what he meant.
Yeah.
Oh, he
Well,
told the Annapolis story yesterday at West Point, or the day. I guess.
Yeah.
West Point graduation. He told about
the Roger
how
Staubach story.
he was going to go to West Point, but Roger, or he was going to go to Annapolis, but Roger Staubach was there,
Yeah.
so I
a
didn't
guy named
go.
Roger Staubach was
so I
there.
didn't go.
He's
yeah.
just looking for a laugh or whatever.
The big issue with him in all of these stories, and like the one he told about meeting Golda Meir before the '67 war.
Yeah.
Or
What
solve
if
the
what if
polio
he
vaccine.
believes this stuff?
Yeah. Well,
What
we
if
don't
he
know.
thinks he actually did this? If
Yeah.
this is his fantasy life of being a world historical figure, I mean, we've got a bigger problem than we think we do.
Yes.
Well,
No, we have a bigger problem than we think we do. There's definitely a bigger problem than we think.
well, let me ask you a question. And somebody just mentioned it. The 10 changes they made during
yeah.
his. Okay. The White House comes out. The White House comes out and shows what he said and what the change is. What does that mean? The fact that they're actually showing.
Well, somebody's fact-checking.
Well,
The media doesn't.
I know, but what I'm saying is, are they setting him up? I mean, I don't see Dr. Jill ever approving that. Yeah, he said it, but it's no big deal. We're just gonna move on now. But they didn't move on. They showed all those mistakes.
Well,
Does that say anything?
It's got to come through with, look, he's already had a mental evaluation where his doctor said he's not capable of understanding what he's done wrong. But he's capable of to be a sitting president of the greatest superpower in the world.
But he's too fragile to convict of.
He's
that.
too
Put in
fragile
front of a jury, he
to
couldn't
know what he did.
He couldn't understand the questioning in front of a jury. Yeah. Right.
Tom, say something.
Let's move on.
Well, we
It's
could,
just, Biden bashing doesn't do anything. I mean,
No,
none
no.
of us really care for him as president. But
Yeah.
we could talk
you
about the big humanitarian pier in Gaza that we just spent $320 million to make, that's coming apart and sinking into the Mediterranean there, and nothing that's ever been shipped in
And all the trucks
got
are
to
getting
any of the
hijacked within a
refugees.
mile of
Oh, yeah.
loading.
Amazing.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to move on. I think you're right, Tom.
I think we did move on.
We did kind of. I got this card a while back, and I've been meaning to talk about it a little bit. There's a lady named Courtney Comstock. She works for the Yavapai County, Recorders area.
Okay.
Do you know her? Does anybody know her? She gives tours. They call it the Follow My Ballot Tour. And if you've just moved to Prescott lately, or this area lately, and you're concerned about, well, I don't know if my vote's going to count or whatever, give this lady a call at Yavapai County and set up a tour. And I think she'll take like 10 to 12 people at a time, and you will see something that's going to impress you about how we count ballots in Yavapai County.
Fortunately,
and it'll put you at ease.
Yeah, fortunately here, and Mal will attest to this, we do it right.
Yeah. We do it right.
I've had ultimate confidence in the Yavapai County Recorder's Office in their elections process, because remember, we've been doing mail-in balloting for 22 years now.
Yeah.
We do it right. And the key is the signature verification with the human eyes on every single affidavit, which is the outside envelope of your mail-in ballot. And if they can't match that signature, it goes to a next level.
And I've got personal knowledge of that, because my signature, as I've gotten older, is starting to get a little different. And
older.
I went in there and I filled out a form with my new signature, and instead of using Robert, I'm going to use Bob, because it's easier for me.
Yeah.
So they got a process for that. So you're right. They called me at home and they said, is this, they wanted to know what was going on.
Well, the other thing they do is they use your most recent signature on file, so it tracks through, all the way through.
Okay.
And whatever your last signature was on your last verified ballot, that becomes the comparison signature now.
Yeah. So all I'm saying is, if you've got some concerns, if you're having people say, well, you never know, none of that's true, give Courtney Comstock a call. She's the executive assistant over there, and she will give you. I'd give you the number.
How about a phone number?
Phone number is area code 928-771-3244.
So you're interested in following your ballot.
Yeah.
Follow
my ballot tour.
What I would also challenge those people with doubt about the validity of elections and they talk about the voting machines. They're not voting machines. They're voting tabulators. All they do is count the ballots, the votes. Now, there are two validation processes for those tabulation machines. Once before the election by the Secretary of State, they do a sample run with witnesses, and then after the election, they pull sample batches of ballots from random precincts, and they get volunteers to sit down at a table, one Democrat, one Republican, one independent. They sit down, they give them a stack of 100 ballots, and each one of them counts them by hand. They count one race. Not everything on a ballot, maybe one race. Yeah. They each count them. Those three people have to match before they can move on. Oh, they do.
Oh,
and believe me,
great.
If you do it once, you'll never do it twice. Because you've got a room full of people hand counting one election or one proposition and passing them around, and they all have to match. And it's tedious at
we
best.
do it right
it's
here.
5 or 6 hours just to go through that process.
Problem is, try doing it in L.A. County or Cook County.
No.
Now you got a different issue.
You know, if we went to hand counting of ballots, and I think it was just Maricopa County, they would have to hire an additional 3,000
people just to count them.
And you'd be lucky to get them within 6 days. Now, remember, there's a difference between the voting machine, where you actually cast your ballot. Less than 1% of the ballots are cast in that manner. And it's in person. You do it by machine, and all it does, you select it, the machine punches the card.
And prints out your ballot.
Versus the tabulation.
Yeah.
Now, the counting machines are just like money counters that every bank uses. They take a stack of bills, they put them in there, and they're running their business just like drug dealers. All the cartel guys have the ballot. Nobody verifies those.
That's probably not a good
I was
analogy
gonna say-
about honest elections and drug dealers.
You know, I'm
not-
watching too many movies, I suppose.
Yeah,
Where
yeah.
They're sitting in the dark room counting bundles of bills.
My wife used to work for the Secretary of State's office. She was the chief financial
She
officer.
is intimately
And she,
aware.
when she hears about different things, people saying, well, these ballots were stolen, this was
Yeah.
done, she said, well, I can only speak for Arizona. I can tell you that doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Right.
On any level, it doesn't happen. And if it did happen, you're talking about an inconsequential amount
Right.
of cheating that would be going on. So she went to every single county, and she was one of the people that went in and checked all the machines
Before the election.
And so she has a very, very strong feeling of what's the word I'm looking for? Belief in the system.
Yeah.
The system
Confidence
is working.
in the system.
Confidence in the system.
Trust.
Conversely, there's Wisconsin, where the Secretary of State, who's in charge of the election process, has decided that regardless of the fact that the state Supreme Court said don't use drop boxes, they're going to use drop boxes.
Or Pennsylvania, who just made up the rules after the election, wasn't going their way, and manipulated that whole thing. in
Well, or
Pennsylvania.
same-day registration,
Well, that's a problem.
where you
too.
just walk in, register, cast your ballot, jump on a bus, and go back home.
Yeah.
Or
Across
to
the
the
state
or
line.
to the next county and do the same thing.
We got a bunch more issues to talk about after our first break, and one of them is going to be, and I'm interested in the public and you guys' thoughts on this. When I read that Yavapai College emptied their library and just tossed the books, or got rid of some of the books, there's something not right about it. I don't know what it is, and I know you've talked about using Kindles and books aren't
Well,
that big a deal. But let's do it after the break.
All
So
right.
let's go ahead and take a break, and we'll be right back. And we're back here on the panel All Knowledge. I'm not sure I even introduced everybody
You
first time
didn't.
around. Jeez, I'm sorry.
That's okay.
We
They
got Tom
probably would
Reilly,
rather
we
not
got
know
Phil King,
anyway.
Malcolm Barrett Jr. sitting here.
Four
And,
ex-councilmen.
Mine,
It's called
my name's
has-beens.
Bob Roecker, and we're all sitting here as ex-council persons, and we're talking about this, that, and the next thing. And I mentioned Yavapai College emptying their. We just had a brief discussion about that. I don't know how much time we have to talk about that. I'd like to talk about the general plan a little bit, which you've been looking into a little bit. But quick comments on how you feel about the library at our college just going away. I mean, the books are gone.
The physical reality of the books are how it's saved. Shakespeare wrote 2 plays that are lost. We know what they were, but we don't have them. Love's Labor 1 was one of them, and one was Can't Tell Me or something like that. But we know they existed. We know he wrote them, but even they weren't saved. And that's fairly recent, okay? Look at all the
Boy, you got a long
classics.
memory.
Do you
The
think
classics from Greek,
well,
the
do you
Greeks
think
and the
things will
Romans.
disappear electronically? We'll never have once the books are gone. The books are gone, and we don't
Well, the
have
books are not gone. There are repositories all over the country.
Okay.
Most major universities have repositories where they save it all.
Yeah.
The National Library of Congress is one example.
Has physical copies of everything.
They have physical copies of everything.
The nukes don't do real well to books, though.
Well, if we get the nukes,
the
we
public-
got much bigger problems.
Wait. How did we go from the books behind Yavapai College to nuclear war? That's a jump that's even tough for me.
We're talking about how the culture is lost, and the culture is lost when the books disappear.
But if people aren't reading books, what difference does it make?
Well, they vote that way too.
Uh,
Yeah, we can go back
exactly
to
right.
that.
We can go back to that.
Probably should read
Well,
books.
but I guess if you could go to a bookstore, Tom, what do you think?
I personally, I kind of agree with Phil. I think that, a book is a book, and it's there for a reason, and it serves a purpose. It serves a function. To destroy books, in my opinion, is a whole Mein Kampf thing. I don't like the idea of destroying that property, the books, simply because they're in the way. I mean, when do you start? You start throwing away books for this, throwing away books for that. Then you throw away books because you don't like what they say, or that kind of thing. A book is a book. It's a knowledge. It's written down, and it should be saved.
Okay.
That
What if, for example, what if you want to go into a bookstore, buy a book, and you do, versus getting online and ordering a book, and somebody knows that you now have that book on your, versus you can go in the bookstore and buy whatever you want, and nobody's following where that book goes.
Now we're talking conspiracy.
Well, I
theory.
know,
Yeah.
but I mean,
They're tracking your book purchases.
does it well, and they will. You think?
They
They-
track everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
they-
Okay, so
But
there
they
you go.
track everything for marketing purposes because they want to know what else you're going to buy.
If you carry one of these, a cell phone,
Sure, that's what's done.
Yeah.
you're tracked.
Yeah.
They know everything there is to know about you.
Mhm.
So
My life is an open book.
Oh, bravo!
There you go.
Have you ever
If you try to hide, forget it.
have you ever talked about something and then the next day you start seeing ads?
Oh, just
about
look,
it?
Oh,
look
yeah.
Have you
things
seen
up.
that?
yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
my
you just look things up,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden you're pummeled with ads.
Oh yeah.
my
my
confession
son-in-law-
is I'm a troglodyte and I don't have one
Yeah.
of those.
Well,
I
my
didn't have one till like a year ago, and
my
I
s-
hate it.
my son-in-law worked for Google
Mm.
in
Oh.
their metrics department, and his chief responsibility was doing the tracking programs for marketing purposes.
Sure.
What else are you interested in?
Well, look at
For
Fry's.
example.
You give you got your ID number
Right.
at Fry's, and the ads come about stuff you've bought.
You've
Yep.
already bought.
Yep, you're
Can
right.
we
get
interest
those.
you?
Yeah,
Can
yeah.
we interest you in 3 or 4 more cases of those?
Yeah, Amazon, same thing. They've got
Go to
They have-
Lowe's. I looked up and I ordered pavers online, and
Yeah.
I'm just getting all the pavers. Hey, we've got some new pavers
Yeah.
out there, and we've got some new garden stuff, and they all do it.
yeah.
Well,
The-
somebody started calling
No.
in, and now
Um,
they're not. And, okay, go ahead.
Brave New World.
Well, yeah, it is brave new. Always has been a brave new world. I think that the idea of being able to save the books. I mean, what kind of bugged me a little bit about that, and I know that this is not necessarily a sequential thought, but the fact that they raise the taxes for capital stuff,
Mm-hmm.
yet they can't save the books.
Mm.
And I'm kind of it's just
But how many libraries do we have saving the same books? And the number of publications is increasing exponentially every year. And how many copies do you need? How many libraries do you need saving all
That's a
these
good point.
books? You
that's a
can
good
have
point.
500 libraries saving the same books, and these are books nobody's checking out. They track the popularity of the books they have in the library, and if people aren't checking these books out, it's space. It's like maintaining all your records, your tax returns. How long do you save your tax returns?
As long as
What
7
tax,
years and
what
they're
tax
gone.
returns? What
Oh,
trivia
it's
for
one
you?
of those. Okay.
Behind Mount Rushmore,
yes,
there is built a couple of series of tunnels
right.
that were to be used as vaults to save the literature and save the writings of the framers and the founders and all that. Never used, but it was actually built behind the heads at Mount
There's a bunch of
Rushmore.
stuff under the
Do you-
Lincoln Memorial too.
Do you think that would work for a radioactive waste storage facility behind Mount Rushmore?
Yeah, okay, yeah.
Well, we have the Harry Reid facility called Nevada
Yeah,
Yeah.
that
yeah.
they continue to build
Well, we
but
won, didn't
never
we?
use. Yeah.
Remember him being interviewed about lying about Romney's tax returns?
Oh yeah.
Well,
right.
we won, didn't we?
Yeah, we won.
Blatant lie, right?
Why,
in the
why
Senate.
ask?
Why you asked me that question?
Yeah.
You know,
I'll ask
listening
you.
to the topics changing around the table here, it's kind of like a pinball machine. You know, it's going all over the place.
Chain of
Well,
consciousness.
We've got
Tom.
Peter
It's-
on the line, and we're going to save him until after the break. So I want to get real quickly before the break comes about the general plan. If you could just quickly tell the audience, if we still have an audience,
There is nothing quick
what the
about
general plan is.
The general plan is done every 10 years, and what it's supposed to be is a document that guides the policy making of the city council in order for them to be able to understand how the community wants to move into the future, whether it be growth, whether it be transportation. There are a variety of different things, water usage, there's a variety of different things that are in there. And this book is supposed to be, the plan is supposed to be the guide through which you make decisions.
And you keep saying it's supposed to be because
You can
You
do
can't always-
general
well,
plan amendments.
Well, you can do different amendments, but the point is that even without amendments, which we can talk about that too, but the general plan is not necessarily utilized in the way that it was intended to be utilized by councils.
That's correct. It's
know-
observed more in the breach.
It's there's a lot of different things. I mean, just being on planning and zoning now for the past several years, I have had a number of different issues where somebody comes in and they want to change the zoning because that's what the general plan says, and they want to do something with that. And okay, moving it forward. General plan says it's good. People voted on it. Goes to the council. Council says no.
Yeah.
no way.
General plan says build the cell towers near the water tanks because they're on the high points, right?
Yeah.
So
where
we
they
turn.
should be.
So we turn down a
And we
cell
turn that
tower
down.
for people who need service.
So
out.
the point is, I mean, we got to go here.
Here we go.
But we can talk more about the general plan, the different aspects of it. It should be a really good guiding document, and this one is going to be verbose.
Verbose. All right,
Probably
well, we
to-
got like 10 seconds
probably
before
to
our hard break
unmanageable
at the
scale.
bottom of the hour. And we're going to take Peter's call right after the break and deal with that one more time about the books, and then we're going to get back to the general plan. So stick with us. We'll be right back. And welcome. Okay, we're on. Okay, welcome back to the panel of all knowledge. We're still talking to Phil King, Malcolm Barrett Jr., and Tom Reilly. And my name is Bob Roecker, and we're talking about the general plan. But I want to get to Peter. He's been holding on line one. So, Peter, are you still there?
I am. Can you hear me okay?
Yep, we can hear you. Go ahead.
Great. First of all, I'm getting a real good kick out of this panel of all knowledge. You guys are cracking me up. I love it.
I'm glad we're good for something, Peter.
It's great. First thing is, how did Yavapai College just seriously throw away all those books without selling them? Don't they have some kind of fiduciary to
They sold.
pick up 50 grand?
Well,
I mean, I'm sure they're worth something. Did they sell them or just throw them away?
They started by selling them, and then when
okay.
nobody else wanted to buy them, they started giving them away. Anything they had
Okay.
left, people had the opportunity to come and take them, and then after that, they went and recycled them.
Got it. Okay. And then number two, you were talking about Google and watching you. My son is finishing his computer engineering degree, master's in computer engineering, and he called me last week. He says, "Dad, whatever you do, don't do the Windows 11 update." I'm like, "Why?" And he's like, "The new update will allow them to turn on your camera whenever you're surfing the web and watch your facial expression, and AI will interpret your interest in an item according to your pupils and according to your facial expression, and therefore be able to hone in on what your true interests are on the internet." They're watching everything.
I have a simple
Windows
solution
11.
for that, Peter, and we've been doing it for years.
Tape.
You just tape over the camera. I did it to my Amazon Echo thing that, plays music or sets your alarm, and there's a piece of tape right over the camera.
Yeah.
Should we be alarmed about that, Peter?
My son, who's a master's in computer engineering, who is very well versed in AI and other stuff, says yes, we should, because what happens is he is saying that because of all of the data analysis and you have a huge base, they can almost tell you what you're going to buy before you know what you're going to buy, because they'll be able to understand the psychology of the human brain better than anybody else. And so they'll be able to it'll almost be like 1984 where you have the thought police. Oh, I saw that thought.
Hey, maybe they're notifying you of things you can buy you didn't even know were out there.
Right.
You have experience in that.
I do, unfortunately.
All right, Peter, thanks.
You don't need that. All you need is your wife. She'll
Yeah.
find stuff.
Yeah,
She needs
right.
to go to the store.
I wouldn't have anything if I checked it with her first.
Anyway, thanks, guys. You're a good crack up. Love listening to you.
Yeah,
Guys.
thank
All
you
right,
very
Peter.
much. Hey,
Have a good day.
this is
God bless.
thank you. Same to you. Thanks, Peter. Hey, I consider that a success. He's having a good time listening
That's
to
a
it.
compliment.
Like I said, it's good we're useful for something.
928-54 time. We're going to get back to the general plan. I'm interested in what Tom's been reading. The general plan. You're on a committee,
Yes.
so give us kind of a
Oh boy, I can't. It's a synopsis. We've gone through several different things. We've talked about fire. We've talked about police. We've talked about housing. We're talking about this week. We're going to be talking about climate. We're going to be talking about water resources. We're going to be talking about housing again, and a lot of the other resources that we utilize too: sewer, water, all those different things.
and when you're all done with that, does the public vote on this?
Yes, the public will vote, and I think it's next year.
Yes.
At the end,
Yeah, the
2025.
city election next
Yeah,
year.
city
it
election
should,
next year. We'll have the general plan on it.
assuming you get it finished.
It'll be done. I mean, it'll be done and out. There's no question about
Yeah.
that. But the thing that's interesting, though, that I find most interesting about general plans in general, this is my third general plan.
I was going to ask that question.
Yeah.
This is your third, Phil. How many did you work on?
2.
Bob Roecker, you
Nope.
didn't?
Nope.
I worked on 2. I was on the general plan committee when I was in Planning and Zoning Commission,
Yeah.
and then again on council.
Yep,
Yep.
I did not work on.
Having done this, I go through this as I'm reading it. There are a lot of feel-good phrases.
When you
Right.
said housing and climate, my red flags went up.
Well, there's certain things that they're doing. They talk about some good things to do, like capturing stormwater in a much better way, and changing the way that we capture that stuff on our roads and what have you. Yeah, okay, good stuff.
Yeah.
But you got to pay for it. A lot of the stuff that comes up, they're all feel good. Some of them are very, very good, sound propositions. And some are just kind of like feel-good things that are thrown in there
Yeah.
to make people think that, oh, wow, this could possibly happen. And one of the flaws of a general plan is that it is not enforceable.
Mm-hmm.
And so
I was just getting ready to ask you if if a person's on city council, been elected to city council, do they have to comply or they have to follow the rules that are set up or the suggestions that are set up in the general
well,
plan?
that's it. The general plan is a suggestion,
Yeah.
and it's a guideline.
Because it's put together and compiled by people who are not elected officials.
Right.
It's up to the decision-making body of the elected official because unanticipated change happen. Like when we did Gale Gardner Way, it went right through a residential area and turned it into a high-traffic arterial.
Problem with
changes.
plans is the success rate of the Soviet Union's 5-year plans.
Well, I don't know about the Soviet Union, but
where'd that
we're
come
far
from?
from that.
But do you ever do we ever hear a council say, this is what it shows in the general plan, which you voted on public,
Yeah.
and we're not going to do it that way because of this?
Well,
Do we
Lamerson
ever
did it
explain?
often the other way around when decisions were being
Well, look
made
at
and
the Whipple
discussions were happening, and he would say, wait a minute, the general plan suggests that we take this approach.
But look at the Whipple Third Connector when that went in. That
Yeah.
changed everything.
Everything.
And it changed a sleepy little two-lane. It wasn't sleepy, two-lane road.
No, you had to
with
stay
the
awake
drainage
because there
ridge.
was a ditch on the.
And we had to do a brand new neighborhood district to allow the transition from residential to
and,
commercial
and
uses.
cut through the middle of a hill.
Right. Well, and that was the bridge.
Yeah.
The-
That everybody now takes for granted.
And,
like it's been
well-
there forever.
Oh, it's always been there.
It's
Yeah.
always been there. Yeah, people, half the town moved here since that was done.
Oh, yeah.
Over
Okay.
half.
Again, the
Yeah.
guidelines that are set out by the general plan, a lot of them are really good guidelines, but not having any teeth in the plan has been a constant source of frustration
Yeah.
for a lot of folks,
Yeah.
particularly people that are on the committee. Excuse me. The way that, and a lot of us have been talking about the way to make a general plan more enforceable or give some enforceability is to make it as realistic and as specific as you possibly can with some of your recommendations.
Uh-huh.
Things like that. If you make a recommendation to do something, say we want to make a recommendation that we're going to change the way that subdivisions get built to be able to capture more stormwater and allow it to recharge into the ground.
And
Good. And this is how you do that. These are the standards that we do. These are the things that we should be doing. Those are the kinds of things that if you make it so that it's implementable, then it becomes useful.
Widen 89.
all right, it's time for another break.
Sundog Connector.
So let's.
Oh, that
let's-
was a big thing. We don't want the SunGuard connector mentioned
Oh my
in the general
goodness.
plan. It's like,
It's-
yeah, okay, well, we're going to reference it.
Yeah, well, it's been in there for 20. All right, we're
Yeah.
going to take a break. We'll be right back. We got a lot more to discuss, and as a matter of fact, I'm going to bring up the Trump trial just to change the pace a little
Ah,
bit. So stick with us. We'll be
Nothing
right back. And we're back here on the panel of all knowledge with Tom Reilly, Phil King, and Malcolm Barrett Jr. I'm Bob Roecker, and we've been talking about all kinds of stuff. The plan that we've been using, the general plan, and I want to get off on something completely different, because it's all over TV all the time, and it's been going on forever, and that's the Trump trial.
Yeah.
And they have had some bizarre things happen in that trial that people that know these things have never seen before. And the question, of course, is the whole thing just flat out political? Is that there is no law involved here, that they're just being political with this thing?
It's 100% political, because what they're trying him for is common practice in every major real estate developer nationwide, much less the city of New
Well,
York.
which trial?
Right.
Well, yeah, the
Which
one
trial?
currently that's going on. Robert De Niro was
Yeah.
yapping into a microphone today.
Why did they haul him out?
Why?
Yeah.
Because he's a popular celebrity, and of course, if they're celebrities, I mean,
What did
It's
Taylor
horse hockey.
Swift say?
we'll say what?
What did Taylor Swift say?
I have no clue.
Well,
Yeah.
nor do I care.
Yeah.
But
Oh
what-
no,
well, they're
be
all
still
waiting-
my
yeah.
heart. You
what
know.
makes them celebrities
They're all pandering to her
or
to
political
endorse.
experts
Yeah.
just because they're a celebrity?
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. Oh, yeah.
Well, they influence people. You know,
That-
celebrities influence
That's
people.
why they have them in advertising all the time.
hmm And that's what they do. I mean, so that's why people like De Niro, you know, who's a great actor, but you know, a lousy spokesperson.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wasn't very
yeah,
good.
he's a pretty frequent F-bomber.
Yeah,
The idea, the ultimate goal is to hang a felony on Trump so you can
Correct.
pull
All
his
right,
civil
well,
rights. He loses his civil rights as a
Yeah,
convicted
all right.
felon.
Well, the panel of all knowledge is going to be asked for a prediction right here, a specific prediction, and that is because we're talking about it. Will he be convicted? Yes or no, or will it be a hung jury is as an option. So I will start, and I'm going to say that there are two attorneys on the jury, and that I think one of them is going to come to their senses. I think they're going to end up with a hung jury. That's my prediction. Tom?
I think that they're going to get him on something. They're just going after this guy so many times in so many different ways that they don't go after the Bidens. You know, they don't go after other people that have done this kind of thing, the Clintons. You know, they don't go after, but they're going after Trump because he's Trump. And so they're going to get something on him. I think that they're going to get something that's not going to affect his ability to run for president. Might affect his ability to vote for himself.
Yeah. Well, actually, it would have to go through an appellate process
Correct.
and a conviction upheld. He will be convicted because the jury knows what's expected of them.
Okay, so you say yes, he's going to be convicted,
Yeah.
no question. Malcolm?
Hung jury.
So you think there's
Absolutely.
somebody's going to say, wait a minute.
It only takes one of 9.
Right, it only takes one. So you
And
have
remember,
this
this is a
smidgen of
criminal
faith.
trial, not a civil trial, and it's a criminal trial with no federal criminal basis, in fact, to even bring charges.
Yeah.
And with 2 attorneys on the jury panel, whether they're pro-Trump or anti-Trump, they're going to look at the law.
Yeah.
And no attorney that I have talked to says there's any basis in the law for these charges.
There
There's
isn't
no victim.
none whatsoever, and particularly in the bank fraud case
Right.
when the bank came in and testified on his behalf.
Right.
Well, but what you said, Phil, you know, this issue about, you know, that the jury knows what that they're expected of them.
Yeah.
That's kind of scary.
I'm talking
too.
New York City.
New York City.
New York City.
Well, I think, you know, I can't argue with stuff like that. I mean, the conspiracy theories, they're all against us, that kind of thing. I don't have much
Credence.
yeah, I don't give much credibility to
I
those kind
I
of
will
things.
say my 12 years in the courthouse here, the jury's got it right every time.
Well, that's
uh,
something that, yeah. I think you're right.
Interestingly
The strength
enough,
of the whole process.
interestingly enough, on a couple of occasions they did it in a real strange way, but they ended up with the right decision anyway.
You know, and the thing
So
is
they
that-
do get it right. The jury system works.
And the same thing with the voters. You know, quite frankly, I think that, you know, when you put different things out, like we're going to have the sales tax issue
Yeah.
coming in the voters, if you educate the voters and give them the information that they need to make a decision, the voters will make the right decision. I believe that.
Well, Hillary disagrees with you.
Who?
Hillary disagrees with you.
Wait, so you're
Imagine
Stacey
imagine
Abrams
my
said?
shock at hearing that.
Stacey Abrams is still declaring victory.
Yeah.
All right, we got to take one final break, so stick with us,
And-
folks. We'll be right back. And we're back here on the panel of all knowledge. We're talking to Tom and Phil and Malcolm and Bob. And I want to touch real quick. We only have a few minutes left, but I do want to touch on the increased fees that they're just now discussing over at City Hall, and the tax increase, the new sales tax increase that apparently has been finally approved now,
Yes,
that
the
it will
ballot-
be on the ballot.
It will be
Yes.
on the
This
ballot,
year.
and it's going to be a temporary increase
No.
for one section, and then it
Yeah.
backs down to a
Permanent
increase
3/4 of a cent.
with no expiration.
Yeah, none.
Now, the good thing about that is 60% of those fees are paid by non-residents.
Yeah.
You know, we had the
Sales
same
tax.
discussion about the jail tax
Right.
years ago. We say, hey, folks, we're mandated by the state constitution to operate a jail. And if we have a jail tax, we only pay for half of it. The people that create the increase in the demand share in the cost of providing the service.
There's a couple of
And that's
problems.
the same rationale between.
There's a
for
couple of
this.
problems with the ballot language. One says it will be put into the general fund.
Not a
they're
dedicated fund.
So not a dedicated fund for police and fire, because the ballot language says it'll be placed in the general fund, meaning you're
understand.
commingling funds for public safety. Well, what's public safety? Public safety is anything a council 5 years from now decides it is. Building a new dock at the lake so nobody drowns. I don't know. You call it public safety whatever you want to.
It's a little fuzzy. I mean, I think you're right. The ballot language is it's a wee bit fuzzy, and there will be a future council that's going to have to bring this thing back and address it one more time, unless they can do something with the ballot language and get it more specific.
Well,
I don't think they're allowed to, when they put the tax out there, the sales tax, the transaction privilege tax, which is the sales tax. I don't believe they're allowed to put it into a special fund.
No, we've done that before.
We have, but it has to be for a specific thing. But if
We
Right.
did that for streets.
Yeah.
It's still in place.
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, we've done it for other things. PSPRS was perfect example.
Yep.
Yeah.
Tax
And it
was
expired.
put in place, kept separate accounting
Right.
of those revenues,
And when it was
No,
done,
that's-
it
that's
just-
and
true,
when
right?
it was done, it went
I don't
away.
know. I don't, Okay, then I stand corrected.
Yeah.
Yep.
And that's the other problem with the ballot language, is connecting the temporary tax 10 years for capital improvements to a permanent tax, and just commingling all those funds. You have no separate accounting of it.
Yeah.
And Mark Woodfield's not going to be there forever.
No. Matter
And
of fact, he's
I
getting
can't
close
believe he's
to.
been there this
I
long.
know.
But yeah,
Bless his heart.
But I mean,
he
what
was
do you,
he was the
and there'd be no-
assistant or number 2 guy under Mark Alver.
Yeah.
yeah,
And
and
when
no
Mark
control
Alver
over what a
retired-
council 10 years from now is going to do with those funds,
Yeah.
and
No, I
there's no way to track it.
And now, my understanding is that the council is talking about, or they're having discussions about increasing fees.
Yeah, the yeah.
So all of a
water
sudden, we
water
have all these-
fees, trash fees. They raised property taxes last year.
right?
as their-
minimally,
well,
but
the
they
fees
raise-
that they're talking
Minimally.
about raising are enterprise fund fees, and those are things where
The users pay. and
you,
that's-
you pay for what the cost is. There's not subsidized, and if the existing the fees that are existing right now are not sufficient to be able to meet the demand going forward.
Yeah.
So therefore, it's like anything else. If you use it, you pay for it.
Mhm.
You know, if you're using the water, you pay for the water, and you pay what it's supposed to be. If it costs $100 to deliver water to you, you pay $100. You know, you don't pay $98 and hope somebody else is going to pay the rest. You got to pay for what it costs.
Sort of like your student loans, huh?
My student loans?
No, I'm not talking you.
No, I
That
I
was
never
a
had
generic-
That's a whole nother
that
thing.
was a
It ticks me
generic
off to
you.
no end.
Yeah.
Yeah, how much do you want to cough up having paid your way and
Yeah.
your kids' way?
Oh yeah, I paid my way every semester.
Yeah,
I walked up there with cash and paid my way.
yeah. And
every
now,
semester.
all the kids that were camped out protesting Israel
Yeah.
want the taxpayers of the United States to pay their student loans.
Well, the
Oh, that's
cost
a
of
whole nother
college
thing.
tuition have increased exponentially beyond the inflation rate, just
Well,
like
that's be-
health care.
That's because government will pay for it.
Oh, and
That's why we're running a $4 trillion annual debt.
it's increasing $1
Well,
trillion every 90 days.
Yeah,
I think
that's what I just said. $4 trillion a year.
I did the math.
Do you think? Okay, one quick question.
Very good.
One quick question for everybody. Do we think that there's going to be a comeuppance day for Prescott, Arizona, fairly soon, where we are all of a sudden we realize that we you know.
I'll tell you what I said on the show a week ago. Yesterday. I did Memorial Day yesterday. If the city council are the sincere and honorable people that they purport to be, and I'm not talking about the two that were just elected in November, they were dumped into this. They're not culpable for the problem. The other members, at least 3 of them, maybe 4, are culpable for it. And if they are sincere and honorable about this tax increase, they need to step down and resign,
Why?
because they're asking the taxpayers to fix a mistake they made.
Well,
okay.
I think that
Yeah,
they were
well,
culpable to some extent, but
It
there
goes
have been a
back
lot of
further
count. It
than-
goes back further than them.
Oh, it does.
Right.
It goes back at least 6 years, Tom.
Oh, it goes back more than that.
Well,
I'd say it goes back
well,
14, 15 years.
well, the Sundog Connector is a good example.
outta
It's been in the
Yeah.
plan for over 20 years, and
Yeah.
people are well, I didn't know anything about it.
Yeah.
Well,
So,
think about this.
Well, city, the
how many years did you serve?
8
Oh, so you did 2
2
terms.
terms.
Mhm.
Tom, you
terms.
did a 1.5.
5.
You did 5
Yeah.
years. You
So you
did.
did
6.
I did 4. One
Yeah.
and done.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I had enough.
yeah. Well, it's not easy.
Well, I
And
filled
it's
it.
not
yeah,
easy.
I filled a 2-year, and then I ran for a
Right.
full 4 because
Oh, okay.
I felt I owed it to
Yeah.
the voters. But
Yeah.
part of one of the things they did wrong was the internal borrowing to pay for this new city hall.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
That was another.
Yeah.
They
Yes.
borrowed
That
that
was an
money from
immediate
the
one.
other
Well, let me
departments,
ask you
and they got to pay it back with interest.
A yes or no, real quick.
Huh.
Are we over our skis? Is Prescott over? Are we over our skis?
Yeah, they've mismanaged the finances at least 6, 7 years. Yes.
Tom.
Yes.
Okay.
I think
Yes.
Okay. So we're going to have to. Okay. I got a
Our
quick.
problem is we can't print money like the feds can.
Well, that's right. What I'm saying, we're going to have to come up and stay.
Maybe
got-
we need a gold mine.
I got to make a quick comment. At the end of the last Bob show, I was talking about traveling and doing all kinds of traveling stuff. And at the end of the show, I started talking about Normandy and got all choked up.
Oh,
And I want to just tell everybody that what I was trying to say is, if you ever get a chance to go to Normandy, do it. The taxpayers of our country take care of that graveyard there, and it's impeccable and it's wonderful and it's a great use of taxpayers' money, and you will see if you go American flags all over France.
The Dutch just had a ceremony in the American cemetery in Holland for Memorial Day.
Exactly.
In Flanders Fields,
Yeah,
the poppies
same thing.
blow.
Thanks, folks. We'll see you next month, last Tuesday of the month. Thanks for coming and talking to us.